let me preface this by saying, I think Ja's going to come back and he's going to prove that, anybody you said is past him, whatever, he's going to prove he's on that same level. Like, he is one of those guys. He is one of the dudes that is going to be a part of this conversation for the next 10 years, whatever you want to say, right? But the NBA, and especially these days in the social media era, is a what have you done for me lately league. Whatever you did in 2022, you might as well have done that in 1980, right?
Yeah, they don't care no more, of course.
Like they do not care. Like you can go back. I mean, like I always say this: Giannis won the championship in 2021. It's 2024. They lost this year, and there are already people releasing articles asking questions on if Giannis is going to leave, right?
And they've been hurt the last 3 years. I just want to add that in. They've been hurt in the last 3 years.
Exactly.
I talked about the luck.
That's how it is now. And it's not to say, like, obviously, I think Ja is going to be one of those guys. And I think he's going to come back and remind people of that. But I do think that he still has that pressure from an outside perspective because of how good Shea has been playing, because of how good Ant has been playing, because of how good even a guy like Tyrese Maxey has been playing, even though he was the second option. Like, you see all these young players either drafted the same year as you or drafted a year after you. And it's like Ja was the first of this generation to kind of do that. When you look at, coming out in tying records with LeBron and Kobe in the playoffs, youngest player to have multiple 45 points.
Yeah, the only person that did it before him was Luka. Outside of that, I always say Ja's the standard for all this. Like, he did all this stuff before everybody else did it. In terms of young players.
And throwing Luka in there as well, obviously, because. And that's what I always say, like, when you get to, like, because people want to make tiers of, like, the young guards. And the only ones that, for me, like, because I get it, because especially for me and you, we're higher on Ja than most people, obviously. Because we watch every Grizzlies game, right? So a Mavs fan is going to take Luka. A Thunder fan is going to take Shea. A Timberwolves fan is going to take Ant, right? But I think it is firmly that it's Luka, Shea, and Ja. Like, that is the top tier of the young guards. And then it's like kind of based on where do you see Trae Young in there, because Trae Young is one of those guys where he has been to an Eastern Conference Finals. So It's like you do throw that, but he also hasn't been back to the playoffs since. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things. So we're like, how do you really rank him? It's kind of hard. But I mean, in the regular season, if you just look at his stats and his numbers, he's been just as good. But it's just crazy to kind of see this whole, like, especially like the young guards, and obviously there's big men and stuff too. Like I said, with Paolo playing as well as he has, but I really feel like it's the young guards that are the ones that are really like making stuff happen right now, especially in the West. I mean, the young guards in the Western Conference, it's going to be a dogfight. Like, those all-star spots for the next 5-6 years, however long these guys are all in the West. It's going to be hard to see who's going to be a starter and who's going to be coming off the bench. Because, I mean, all of those guys, like, you can, like, Luka, Shea, Ja, and all four of those guys, I think
they're locked if they're healthy. They're locks if
they're all-star locks if they're healthy. And I think all of them also could be. I think they'll all be multiple-time first-team All-NBA. Like, based on how
they'll make All-NBA team. Yeah.
If not second team, I mean, but they're All-NBA caliber dudes. And then you're still gonna have Steph. Like, Steph isn't going anywhere, obviously. So, like, when you, like, he's obviously for like the old guard, but it's like when you get to like the all-star stuff and like all that, it's gonna be crazy to see how that works. But yeah, that I do think Ja does have that pressure, and I think he knows that, and I do think he's gonna respond well to it because he's always really responded well to pressure. But we can't act like it's not there, because I definitely think it's there.
Yeah, I mean, let me think. First, to start off, what you were talking about with the old guard, I don't know if anybody sees the memes I always post. So anytime they talk about the old guard, because again, Brown, one of my all-time favorite players. Steph, love him. Katie, love him. But the picture I keep posting, I forget where it's from, but it says the future is now old man. I post it every time because that's literally what it's
from. Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, the future is now old man. Yeah, I post that every time because that's literally how it feels. Like people don't understand. Like it's like they don't like this younger generation don't. I'm not saying they don't care about these players, but they look at these players in their eye and like we respect what you did, but like it's not the same. Like Ja was doing that last 2 years ago with Steph. Like he putting up 30, 40, I think 35, 36 in that series, like his first 3 games. So like that was like, and obviously we see with Ant now against KD and them, against Jokic. Like these guys are really good, like again, and they're all young. But again, I mean the league's in a great place. But yeah, people forget about Ja. I always say it for the most part, it's out of sight, out of mind. If you don't see somebody, they're not going to think about them. And then you factor all that in with the off court stuff. People look at him a different way because they're like, okay, now he's not going to be available. Then they already thought he wasn't going to be available because he's going to be hurt. When in reality, Ja, this was the first real injury that kept him out for a significant period of time, like a whole season, basically. So, you factor all that in. I mean, again, I'm looking at the numbers right now for Ja right now. Like, literally in a down year in 9 games, he averaged 25.6 rebounds, 8 assists. That's all he made numbers. He would have made an All NBA team last year had he not done anything stupid off the court. That was the only reason he didn't make an All NBA team was because he did the off court stuff. That's literally the only reason because he was averaging, I think, 27, 6, and 8. Like, he's literally a walking, almost, he's not Bron, but he's literally a walking 25, 5, and 8. Like, that's what he puts up ever since year 3. And that's without a jump shot. Now, I'm not saying he can't shoot. Like, he can't shoot at all, but that's without like a real good jump shot, like high 30s or mid 30s. Imagine if he get a jump shot or he get more spacing. People don't understand how much, no disrespect to the Grizzlies, they've been good, but I've always talked about their offense. They haven't had a lot of shot makers. Not only that, they didn't have a lot of either shot makers or lob threats. Imagine you get somebody, I mean, you got more shot makers now. Imagine you get more lob threats or bigs that are athletic. What he gonna put up then? And he doing this 32 minutes. I didn't even say that. Jenkins don't play his starter time minutes. Everybody else playing like high 36, 37. Ja's at like 32 minutes in doing this. So I say all that to say, yeah, like Ja's still the standard. Now, again, the only guard I personally put over him is obviously Luka. Shea, you can put over him, but again, I like people say, like you said, everybody's so big on what have you done for me lately. I'm big on body of work. Ja's had a 40 ball every playoff. He's got records with Kobe and LeBron, and that was 2 back-to-back postseasons he did that. Not just one, back-to-back postseasons. And before this year, he's in 3 straight playoffs and advancing one of them. Like, all that matters. This is Halliburton's first playoff. This is first time, obviously, Ant has made it past the first round. This is Shea's first playoff as the guy. Not his first playoff, but the one as the guy. The only person is like Luka. I mean, you say Halliburton, but this is his first playoff, and even then, he had struggles. Like, you go down this line, not everybody has the same resume. So, and I value that. What can you do in the playoffs? Because you can be a good regular season 82 game guy, but what can you do in the playoffs? And Ja has a lot of moments in the playoffs that you just can't ignore. But again, like you said, when you're out of sight, out of mind, and people forget about you, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna put pressure on them. But I mean, whoever in terms of pressure, me, it starts at the top for me. GM Zach Kleiman, if you're watching, buddy, you got the pressure on you first. You building the roster. And then after that, I go, okay, you got Coach, you got Jaren Bain after that. But I mean, I'm not, I think you're not far off in terms of Ja having pressure from the outside people because they're like, can he stay available? Can he basically focus on the court and can he produce? Like, and they're really not about producing. Can you just stay on the floor? Because, like I said, he's a walk-in. He's gonna get put up numbers. They're gonna win games. Can you stay on the floor and just keep the main thing, like you said, and like your actions match up with your words. So. I mean, I'm confident in Ja, though. I'm not really worried about Ja. Just get back healthy, and he's gonna remind everybody. Like, well, wait till we get to like December of this year. Like, I promise you, it's gonna be a different tone.